All right, welcome to the Krug Show. Chase Sr. in the house. Last night was amazing. We got a lot to get to. Let's get to it right here. Running on a Friday on the Krug Show. Chase Sr. in the house, one of our favorite streams of the week. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. So get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. We're loving Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to them for sponsoring the Krug Show. And 49er football this season, all season long, is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chats, season-long leagues, and, of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. All you got to do is use the promo code Larry, Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. Wow, what a game that was last night. If you missed it, you missed it. Man, 26-23. 49ers in overtime beat the Rams, go 3-0 on the road, 3-0 inside the division, up their record to 4-1, send the Rams to 3-2. An incredible performance by Mac Jones, who got his ass kicked. Unbelievable. Niners still could not run the ball. Kendrick Bourne out of nowhere had the game of his life. And the 49ers got a goal line stand. They got a forced fumble at the 1. The Rams made a bunch of mistakes. Niners dominated the time of possession, played keep away, and the Niners held on for a 3-point win. Chase, how was your in-game last night? I mean, it had to be wild. And what did you think? I mean, where do you want to start on this one? A 3-point win by the Niners, but it was so much more than that.
It was, and I think it goes down as one of the craziest Niners regular season games of all time, certainly in recent memory. And for our live show, more than 160,000 people tuned in all throughout the evening, and it really was a roller coaster ride. And I didn't think the Niners were going to win, but a lot of my coworkers at the Chat Sports Studios were saying, Niners are going to get blown out. And I said, I don't think they're going to get blown out. I think they're going to keep it close because it's a short week. It's a rivalry game. Kyle Shanahan has coached very well against Sean McVay. He understands what the Rams do well. Obviously, Robert Saleh has familiarity with the current nuances and trends of offensive football, but he has experience going up against Sean McVay as well. And so I thought the Niners were going to come into this game motivated. I thought they were going to play tough and resilient. And I thought this game was going to come down to the wire. And it did. But I did not expect Mac Jones to have an all-world performance. I didn't expect Kendrick Bourne to literally have a career game. And the thrilling nature, the ups and downs, the twists and turns, this is why you love sports. This is why you love football. It really doesn't get any better than that. And that was ultimate theater last night. And I was driving home yesterday after I got done a workout, and I was thinking back to that 2020 game when Nick Mullins led the Niners, I believe, to a 20-17 victory. Similar circumstances. The Niners were banged up. They were very injured, and they were going up against a Rams team where they were sizable underdogs. And I got to thinking, I'm like, this is the beauty of football, right? That even when you're huge underdogs, even when you're injury depleted, there's still an opportunity to win any given Sunday. In the case of Thursday, any given Thursday, right? And how you do that is if you play a perfect game, if you play near flawless football, if you basically do the exact opposite of what the Niners did against the Jags. You're going to have some big players step up. You're going to have to win the turnover battle. You're going to have to capitalize in the red zone. The ball is going to have to bounce your way. And all of that literally happened for San Francisco. And this isn't just a big win for Thursday in week 5 to move the Niners to 4-1. The ramifications of this, I think, are huge. Fred Warner even said it after the game. He was as pumped up as he's ever been. He called it humongous. But think about how young this Niners team, all of these new faces that are with this Niners organization now, this is a formidable win for the young players on this team as kind of a culture influencing win for the new wave of players to experience, hey, this is the Niners MO. This is the Niners mentality. We're tough. We're not going to back down. And mentally and physically, we're going to bring it. And we're never going to lay down for any opponent. And I thought Kyle Shanahan coached a great game for a majority of the game last night. Robert Saleh without a pass rush. I thought his unit came to play. Thank God the special teams played pretty well, but such an impressive all-around win for San Francisco where they had to put their nuts on the table, and they put their nuts on the table.
Yeah, no, huge night for Shanahan, huge night for Saleh, huge night for the young defense, but nobody had a bigger night than Mac Jones. Nobody improved the impression of who they are as a player around the league more than what Mac Jones did last night. 33 of 49. He almost threw it 50 times on the night, 342 yards. He had 22 points for the Krugerrands in the KNBR Fantasy League. I had Mac Jones as my starting quarterback. I had a guy talking trash to me saying that I needed to trade for Justin Fields. And I'm like, I'm rolling with Mac Jones tonight. And he's like, all right, well, good luck. It's like, I don't know if I need luck at this point, but what do you make of Mac Jones? There are people that are saying, you know what? I've seen enough. Mac Jones is the guy. Trade Brock Purdy, and they're done with Brock Purdy. Then there's people that are like, you know what? I like Mac, but I don't think he's Brock Purdy. And then there's people that think that Mac's just, in a lucky stretch, that, this is no different than any other backup quarterback who happens to have a nice little 2 or 3 game stretch. He was a first-round pick, Chase. I mean, the other wrinkle to this that's so interesting, and I brought it up to Damon Bruce in our last stream, and I think I'd love to get your thoughts on it as well. If we can assume that Mike Lombardi and all the people that were saying in 2021 in the lead up to the draft that Shanahan was all in on Mac Jones and wanted Mac Jones, and they traded up to get Mac Jones. And if that indeed was the case, and then for whatever reason, Shanahan was convinced to go with Trey Lance. But let's just say that is accurate, that it was Kyle Shanahan who was banging the table for Mac Jones. It was Kyle Shanahan who wanted Mac Jones in 2021. What do you think the dynamic is behind the scenes in the 49er offices when probably a lot of those same people that were trying to convince Kyle Shanahan to go with Trey Lance are still probably there? And Kyle, if what Michael Lombardi said was true, that he was all in on Mac Jones, if we just assume that was the case, what do you think the dynamics are like behind the scenes as Kyle is scheming and game planning to, support and back the quarterback, let's just say, that he was pounding the table for, as opposed to the other people in the organization? I mean, when you frame it that way, it does kind of paint a picture that I'd love to kind of know what the score is in their room when they're all sitting there, as far as who wanted what, who pounded the table for who. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. I think this storyline and this overall development is so fascinating for so many reasons. And I know a lot of people want to throw out the 2 words there, quarterback controversy. I don't think there's a true quarterback controversy right now. I think people have kind of taken for granted and they forget just how great Brock Purdy has been, how efficient he's been, and the things that he's been able to do. I will say with Mac Jones, I do like his size. I like his arm strength. And I like how he can hang tough in the pocket. And I think he's a little bit better inside the pocket than Brock. But obviously, Brock is better with making plays out of structure and improvising, being able to create with his feet and his legs. And it's a really special quality. And I don't think that Mac Jones playing this well is really putting a lot of pressure on the Niners or making them second-guessing this contract. Now, if Purdy is out for an extended period of time, if he goes on injured reserve or something with this turf toe, and Mac continues to play well, he has to get healthy first, but play like he did against the Rams, then the conversation becomes a little bit interesting. As far as the dynamic behind the scenes, look, we know that Kyle Shanahan is very proud of himself and very confident in himself for his football mind and how he's able to run an offense and call plays, design plays, and run an organization. And he's had so much success with San Francisco. I mean, you saw last night without Kyle Shanahan, the Niners don't win that game. Mac Jones doesn't play like that. And so there are other teams across the NFL who would be salivating over the thought of hiring Shanahan. If he were to get let go by the Niners, you saw last night why he would get scooped up in 5 minutes. I mean, the team was prepared. The team was motivated. The team had no fear. Mac Jones looked awesome. And why is that? That's because of Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan was creative in that first half, and the Niners pretty much won the game in the first half, being able to build that lead. As far as the dynamic behind the scenes, I could see Shanahan, given how competitive he is, wanting to stick it to some people if that were the case, right? And say, I told you pre-draft, I love Mac Jones, really liked him as a scheme fit. He was the much more proven product as compared to Lance, who was the bigger project. And I was right all along. That's why I wanted to bring him back. And the decision to bring back Mac Jones, a season-saving decision by San Francisco. I mean, if we had Josh Dobbs or Brandon Allen out there, the Niners aren't going 3-0. They might lose all of those games, and the season at this point, as of early October, might be over. But yeah, I think Shanahan is showing like, hey, this was my vision. This is why I like the player. And I got to be honest, like, I didn't love the Niners taking Mac in 2021 because I thought he had a clear ceiling, whereas I thought Trey Lance had a lot more potential. And I just don't think that things went right for Lance. Injuries, lack confidence, but also the inexperience that he had in college really was a huge detriment. And I didn't put enough stock into that because I just looked at the raw ability, and he had a ton of it at North Dakota State. I did, though, with that being said, really like Mac Jones as a player coming out of Alabama. I mean, I know that he was surrounded by a bunch of NFL dudes, but the year that Alabama won the national championship, he led the nation in completions with 311. He led the nation in completion percentage at 77.4%. He threw for 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 4 picks. And what did we see when he was at Alabama with NFL guys? Got rid of the ball on time, accurately, in rhythm to his playmakers. He was able to layer throws, had some good arm strength, hung tough in the pocket, and he played point guard within that offense. What have we seen him do for Kyle Shanahan? Literally do the same things. He layers throws like Purdy, a little bit bigger so he can see the field a little bit better, but he's able to distribute the football and really play point guard in an impressive way with this offense. And what a job by Shanahan to really revitalize Mac Jones's career. I mean, the Patriots and the Jags literally left him for dead. Nobody else across the NFL wanted him. And that was because of the play, but it was also because of the image that people had of Mac Jones. With the 3 starts that he's made for the Niners, playing-wise, with what he's done on tape, he saved his career and revitalized it. And then as a person and personality, I think everybody thinks differently of him. And then maybe most importantly, the toughness that he exuded last night. I mean, that goes down as one of the toughest, grittiest performances that you will ever see from a quarterback. At one point, it looked like he was dead on the field, right? Laying motionless on the turf. For him to fight through that and perform this well with the lack of weapons and the players who he was throwing to against that Rams defense, it's a legendary performance, and that is not a hyperbolic statement.
No, it was absolutely a legendary performance. Here is the scene inside the Niner locker room at the end of the game. These are always great. Here, if you haven't seen this, here you go.
All the way to and D, who stopped that dude on the goal line? Alfred, hey, Alfred got the strip, right? D line, man. Alfred, you making that strip? Alfred, come on.
I love y'all boys. That's against the wall, bro. Hey, we're gonna fight.
Yeah, Eddie, or hit a 59-yarder.
Go up every time, bro. That's why football is the greatest team sport. You guys have my back. I appreciate it, man.
IGYB.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Family on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Good moment. Good moment.
That's the beauty of team sports right there, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, that stuff never gets old. I know some people be like, it's hokey, and no, I don't think so.
That
it's
flight back
real.
to the Bay Area had to have been
The best.
lit.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's amazing. It's amazing that. Now here's the thing about last night's game. So we've hit the good. Mac Jones was incredible. We've hit the good. Kyle Shanahan was incredible. What'd you think of Kyle Shanahan going up to Mac Jones and telling him he was disgusted about the spread?
I thought that was awesome. It's like, dude, we're 8.5-point underdogs. We're getting disrespected. And it's kind of delusional from Shanahan. Like, this goes back to what I said earlier. He's so confident in himself and his ability as a coach that he was shocked that they're 8.5-point underdogs. But it's like, Kyle, this is kind of how the odds makers work, right? You're without Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Malik Mustafa, Nick Bosa. The odds makers aren't going to give you a lot of props, but I did think that number was a little bit fat. And I love how Shanahan used that as a rallying cry. And it's funny how Mac was like, yeah, I don't really go on social media. I don't pay attention to betting lines. I was like, I don't really know what 8.5 means, but let's go kill them. Let's go dominate them. Just such an organic, natural moment. And you kind of like to see that personality flavor from Kyle Shanahan because you don't always see that.
I know. Though I don't know if I believe Mac. We're supposed to believe Mac Jones doesn't know what the point spread means. I mean, come on, bro. Really? I mean, I guess I'd rather him know that than be like, yeah, it's 8.5 or 8 in the hook. Yeah.
Well, one thing's for certain. I don't think he's John Mateer, the Oklahoma quarterback, sending bets on Venmo. So
yeah, exactly. He's not Art Schleister from way back. The Niners still couldn't run the ball.
No,
they could not run the ball. 33 carries for 74 yards, 2.2 a carry. Christian McCaffrey, 2.6 a carry. Brian Robinson, 2.4 a carry. They could not run it. They cannot run it. Why are they struggling to run the ball? Is it Connor Colby is a rookie at left guard? Is Pooney regressed? Is Brendel not good? Is Christian McCaffrey lost a step? Is it because of the injuries at wide receiver and then teams are defending the Niners by just daring them to pass and loading the ball? I mean, this can't continue.
No.
They're going absolutely nowhere at 2.2 a carry. What are you seeing?
It's not sustainable, and especially in Kyle Shanahan's offense where everything is built off of and predicated off of the run game. Longevity-wise, the Niners aren't going to be able to last if they can't run the football. And I don't think it's Christian McCaffrey. I don't think that he's as quick and as twitchy as he was in 2023, but that's fine. He's finding other ways to be productive. And I was kind of on this a few years ago before the Niners even traded him. I had said, given his natural ability as a pass catcher and his dad really developing that skill set within him when he was coming up as a kid and then in high school and college at Stanford early in his career, his footwork and his ability to run routes like a wide receiver, I had said a few years ago, can allow him to really extend his prime years, because even if he loses a little bit as a running back, you could still utilize him as a receiver. Larry, he's top 15, top 10 in receiving yards across the entire NFL this year, and he looks phenomenal in catching the ball. And so I don't think it's McCaffrey's issue. I think it's the offensive line. Like, when I watch the Niners try to run it, how often are defenders already in the backfield disrupting plays, throwing the interior Niners offensive lineman to the side like rag dolls, and being able to hit Christian McCaffrey, where when he gets the ball, right after he gets that handoff, he's running into contact. I mean, the yards before contact are not there. We know that this scheme works.
It's
we know
one, by the way, it's
efficient with
1.47 yards before first contact.
That's one of the worst marks in the NFL.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley last year was number 1 in the NFL at like 3.8 before contact. He's at around 1 this year. So the Eagles offensive line has also struggled. And I'm seeing similar things between two lines. There just aren't big holes leading to explosive plays, and everything is clogged up when the Niners try to run the ball. Now, they're running into heavy boxes a decent amount, and that might be to your point of other teams not being threatened by the wide receiver talent. But I just see this interior Niners offensive line getting pushed around. Jake Brendel doesn't have a strong enough anchor, and he's just not what I would call a bully at the center spot, and he's an okay athlete. Connor Colby just isn't ready for consistent NFL snaps right now. He's getting pushed around. Dominic Pooney has regressed, and I'm not sure if it's because of the knee injury that he suffered week 2 in the preseason, but when 3 of your 5 linemen can't block, that is the run game right there. And so I think it's an interior offensive line problem, which is why the Niners can't run it.
Would you replace Brendel with Nugent or Zakel or Hennessy? Or, I mean, they have like 4 different options they could probably go to. They've always backed Brendel at every turn.
They love Brendel.
And PFF seems to love him as well. But, I mean, how much can you love your center when, as you said, your running back's got 1.47 yards before first contact? You know, that's and they're trying desperately. I mean, they're having a hard time on quarterback sneaks getting any push.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Brendel, they've said over, I mean, we know how they feel about Brendel. They love Brendel. They clearly value Brendel more highly than others do. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, I'll say this too. I mean, Jones was particularly effective if you looked yesterday on passes under 10 yards. He was 28 of 37. So he threw 49 passes on the day. 37 of the 49 were under 10 yards. And when he threw for under 10 yards, he was 28 of 37 for 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, the second most yards in a game on short passes this season. Is that why Jones looks so good right now? Is that the Niners don't have a run game and he's maybe more effective at the short passing game or more willing to take the underneath stuff where Brock is, hunting downfield stuff more and it's just not there?
Well, I think Brock also sometimes just can't see as well as Mac because he's shorter. He's even said, like, sometimes because of my height, I really have to throw anticipatory passes and try to read what the defense is doing pre-snap during the play so that I can actually make throws because I don't always see what is going on. And some other quarterbacks have dealt with that obviously before. Drew Brees has talked about it, but because Mac stands a little bit taller, I think he's able to read and react a little bit faster just because he sees it. I also thought there was a really good adjustment in that game. And there was a graphic that Amazon had popped up. Before Mac's injury, his time to throw from snap to release was 2.77 seconds. After, it went down to 2.44. So I think Shanahan and Mac made it a point due to the injury to try to get rid of the ball quicker. And I thought Mac on those quick passes, especially the third downs to Kendrick Bourne, made some high-level throws. I also really like it. You see the Rams do this sometimes. It catches the defense off guard from a timing standpoint. Quick snap, quick throw. That was the touchdown to Tonches. That was the throw from Stafford to Puka Nacua, where you take that snap and you throw it so quickly, so fast to a point where the defense isn't able to react. And so I like the adjustments in game by Shanahan on that front.
One guy who had just an amazing performance was Kendrick Bourne. I mean, Kendrick Bourne absolutely showed up in a huge way. I mean, somebody needed to step up, and he was the guy who ultimately did. I'm going to share the screen, and we'll let Kendrick, in his own words, express himself. Here he is.
Hey, talk to me. How you feeling? Woo! Thursday night football done, man. You couldn't have wrote it anyway. Overtime. Let's go. Shout out to the guys, man. Shout out to the faithful. Sorry about last week, but I made it up this week. Appreciate you guys.
He made it up, man. I mean, what a way to answer the bell.
He did make it up. And I'll freely admit, I'm one of these guys that I'll admit, some people just, they give opinions and they just never, ever, just keep blazing, just keep trail. Just don't worry about being wrong. Just keep rolling. If I'm wrong, I like to own it. And so I did tweet out earlier today, hey, I'm wrong. I was wrong about Bourne. And here it is. I said, I owe Bourne a major apology. I said he was washed and should retire. And then he goes off last night, helps lead the 49ers to victory. I said, Kendrick, you are definitely not washed up. I may need to bring back my closing line I used for years on the radio. where I would finish up every show, Chase, with Larry Krueger, often wrong, seldom in doubt. We'll see you
Colin
tomorrow night,
Cowherd,
everybody.
where Colin was right, Colin was wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, I'm wrong. I mean, some people don't ever put themselves in a position to be wrong because they never say anything. Other people say things all the time and then, you know, take it back when they're wrong or just keep rolling. If I'm wrong, I feel like I'm right enough where when I'm wrong, I can own it. And so I thought he was totally slow, totally done, totally didn't have anything left in the tank. And man, what a performance. The Niners were not going to win last night unless somebody who didn't performed. And that somebody was Kendrick Bourne. They threw him 11 passes. He caught 10 for 142 yards, including a beautiful 35-yarder in the first half that really got the Niners rolling.
First drive of the game.
Yeah, first drive. Mac Jones clearly has a rapport with Bourne going back to the Patriots days. But what do you make of Kendrick Bourne? I thought Demarcus Robinson would have the big night. Instead, it was Bourne for 10 for 142.
Yeah, and you're so right. Like, I had mentioned this a little bit earlier, but when you're so injury depleted and you're trying to pull off an upset as such big underdogs, you're going to have some heroic performances. You got that from Mac. You also got that from Kendrick Bourne. Other guys are going to have to step up out of the woodwork and really produce, and Bourne was able to do that. And I love stories like this. The game against Jacksonville wasn't good. I think he got targeted 4 times. He had 3 drops. The one drop that he had was a pivotal drop in the game. I think that he would have scored on that play because nobody was around him. And I know some people have said Kendrick Bourne isn't that fast, but with the way that play was progressing and how he was led by Purdy, I think it would have been a house call. That could have changed the game. Instead, he dropped it on 3rd down. Next play, 87-yard punt return for a touchdown, completely changes the game. And so he definitely heard the noise and felt the fire, and he comes through on Thursday Night Football. And he did drop 1 pass, but he was crucial on 3rd downs. Kyle Shanahan said a few weeks ago he was the Jawan Jennings before Jawan Jennings. Kind of looked like Jawan Jennings last night, just coming through on clutch down after clutch down. He also had some juice to his legs. Like, he was running pretty well. And prior to the Jags game, I thought that he came up big in some big spots against New Orleans and against Arizona. Then the Jags game was a huge regression. But for him to do that last night, an all-time performance. And for him, literally a career best performance.
All right. The Niners get the punch out by Alfred Collins. It was an amazing play by the rookie from Texas, and he's getting better every week. What a play, though. That was a phenomenal play, and it should have ended the game, and it didn't. What do you think of how the Niners approached it? I mean, granted, they were on the 1-yard line, so the first play's got to be a quarterback sneak just to get you off of the 1, right? So that I defend Kyle's first play. First play's got to be a giveaway, buck into the line or a quarterback sneak. It was. But then Kyle on 2nd down and 3rd down did the exact same thing. And on 3rd down, they really just gave away the play. They just basically just kind of had Christian just kind of lay down. They didn't even really try to get the first down, and they gave the ball right back to the Rams. What were you thinking in real time? You also cover the Eagles. How do you think Sirianni and the Eagles would have tried to handle that right there? Were you thinking at all about? I mean, I guess that's the other question. As somebody who covers the Niners and the Eagles, do you get yourself comparing the two teams from time to time? What would Philly do here? What are the Niners doing here? I'm just really interested. Philly's one of the best lines. Obviously, they're struggling a little bit this year, but it's one of the best lines in football.
Yeah.
What do you think Sirianni's play calls would have been there? Just kind of wondering. I've been wondering about this all night. I'm really eager to get your thoughts on this one. What do you think? Do you think Sirianni would have done the same thing? You think he would have done something different? How do you think they would have played their hand there if it had been the Eagles? In your thoughts?
Well, speaking of both teams, how about the Niners using the tush push last night? with Kyle Juszczyk pushing
The
Mac
juice
Jones.
push. I like the juice push.
Yeah, see, I have an issue with it because when I was at the Combine, John Lynch was very outspoken against the tush push, and I know he voted to ban it, but then the Niners, in a gotta-have-it spot, they use it. I think it's a little bit phony, but I do like the idea. Kyle Juszczyk behind Mac Jones, push him over the line to gain. And so I thought that was creative from Kyle Shanahan. Here's the thing.
It works, by the way.
It works. It just works. If you have a big quarterback with a strong lower half, like, it's a very effective play. And how many times do you see teams not be able to pick up 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 in short yardage situations and along the goal line, and they fail in those plays? Whereas the Eagles can use the tush push. They run it better than everybody else, and they're able to convert it. That's why they want to keep it, because it's a huge weapon for them. How about the Rams last night? 4th and 1, they run with Kyron Williams. The Eagles are going tush push there. And so that's why, I fight to keep the play alive, because I think it's a creative play. I think it's an effective play. Shanahan clearly thought the same because he used it to his disposal last night. As far as what the Eagles would do, Sirianni goes for the kill shot there, backed up on the goal line. Now
With a throw?
With a throw. Yeah. I'm
Will they
firm
move
that.
the pocket, you think? Or how do you think he would do it?
Yeah, I think he potentially moves the pocket. Here
it be
was
too?
kind of my thinking. I have no issue quarterback sneaking it on 1st down for a couple of reasons. You need to get some breathing room.
Yeah.
And you cause the Rams to use one timeout. All right.
Right.
And so from that point, you're playing a clock management game, which isn't always Kyle Shanahan's strong suit. The chances of you finding success running in between the tackles there, it's very thin. And the Rams were selling out against the run. They were not going to give you the run. And so what I would do is try to throw it probably on 2nd and 3rd down, knowing if you do pick up a 1st down, the Rams at that point do not have enough timeouts to stop the clock. That's ball game right there. Another thing too, you're up by 3. So if you give up a safety, it only becomes a 1-point game. Yes, you have to give the ball back to the Rams, but you're also able to kick the ball to the Rams instead of punting it when Thomas Morstead, number one, doesn't have a good leg. He's old and kind of cooked. Number 2, you knew that the Rams were going to get the ball at midfield. But by taking the safety, if a safety happens, you can pin the Rams back a little bit further. Then they also have to get a field goal in order to win the game.
But if they do get the field goal, they do win the game.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
If you take the safety and then kick it to them, they get worse field position.
Right.
But a field goal beats you.
But I'd rather be aggressive, try to pick up the 1st down, because if you do, that's ball game. Worst case scenario, you take a safety, you're still up by 1. I still want to force the Rams to drive down the field to kick and execute the field goal, also knowing that the Rams special teams blocking on field goals has been really bad. 2 block kicks against the Eagles, and then obviously the extra point blocked last night. And so, I think the Eagles would have gone for the kill shot. If not on 2nd down, definitely on 3rd down. That's what I would have done. And what I just don't understand about Shanahan, like in the first half, he played to win. He was aggressive. He was creative. But when he builds a lead, he grows to be so conservative, and he plays not to lose. And so he went for it on a couple of 4th downs in the first half. And I'm like, this is awesome. You know that you're shorthanded. Step on the Rams' throats and end the ball game, go for the kill shot, seize the momentum, and continue to be aggressive. But then in the second half, he kind of lost that aggressiveness. And right there, you get the huge turnover forced by Alfred Collins. What a play by the rookie. You want that to end the ball game. So you made the play defensively, make the play offensively, and end the ball game by converting the 1st
down. 2 last ones, and we're going to cut it a little short today, but Marquis Siegel had 13 tackles, 7 solo. Upton Stout had 8 tackles, 2 solo. The Niners played keep away. I thought that was probably the best thing they did to slow down the Rams.
Mikel on the 4th down stop was really big too, penetrating the interior.
Yeah, Mikel and Collins and Chase Lucas and then Siegel. I mean, that whole left side was a lot of rookies right there. But overall, when you look at this 49er defense, I mean, what stood out to you last night about the 49er defense? I mean, Stafford threw it 47 times. The Rams ran for almost 5 yards a carry, but they only had 16 carries. They had no offensive balance. And Puka, I don't know if it's stopping him, but it feels like they stopped him, even though he had 10 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown.
Isn't this crazy too, that with all of those Rams carries, I think you said 16, 15 or 16, whatever it was, they did not have a negative gain on any of those carries until the fourth down stop. So all night they were in the green plus when running it until it came down to that fourth down stop when San Francisco's defense just nuts up. What I love about that play too, and I know we're kind of getting off topic, but it's just an awesome play. You know, Michael Williams kind of penetrates to force Kyron to go a little bit to the right. You have Fred Warner shooting the gap, Chase Lucas shooting the gap. You have Diamador Lenore coming in from the corner, and then Marquise Siegel to finish it off. It's just such a clutch, high-level, collective team effort type of play. And I'm, you know, you want to talk about play calling. Like, Stafford looked like an MVP last night. Stafford was incredible. And he put up all those numbers only having 2 minutes time of possession in the first quarter pretty much. I'm surprised that McVay took the ball out of his hands on that fourth down. I would have thrown it there probably.
What are the Niners going to do to add to this defensive line? Because the one thing that also was clear, they got this win despite the fact they only got 1 sack on Stafford and they only got 2 hits on Stafford. So, I mean, this is 2 weeks in a row. They really didn't interfere with the quarterback or interrupt the quarterback, and they won this game. But I mean, this can't continue. I mean, the 49ers are going to have to figure out what's wrong with their run game and run it better. And they're also going to have to figure out where they can find some ability to move the other team's quarterback off the spot. If they don't solve those 2 things, it's going to probably not be a very impressive end to this year. What is your thoughts on that? How do you think Lynch should play his hand as it pertains to this defensive line?
So I said earlier, when we were talking about the Niners' inability to run, how it's not sustainable for the entire year. They have to get that figured out. There are really 3 areas that aren't sustainable and conducive to having high-level playoff success and being a contender. Niners can't run it. The red zone offense still stinks. And without Nick Bosa, they can't generate pressure on the quarterback. I mean, those are 3 things that they really need to figure out that have been weaknesses all year. And then obviously after the Nick Bosa injury, and they were some blemishes on the radar last night. And so I think the Niners have no other choice but to try to make a trade for a pass rusher. You're 4-1. You've shown that you can compete. You have reinforcements coming back. Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Malik Mustafa. Some of those pieces are almost like trade deadline acquisitions, and they're going to make you better. We've seen that this Niners team has potential, but Matthew Stafford was sitting back there picking flowers, and he could have played 7-on-7 back there. You had 1 sack on the opening drive of the game when you drew something up with Bryce Huff. After that, he wasn't really touched. Against the Jaguars, you had no sacks and no quarterback hits for the first time in a game since 2015. You had 5 pressures in that game, 2 pressures last night. You can't play defensive football that way. And I think the Niners secondary has been pretty good, but you're asking them to do something unfair. Hold up for like 10 seconds. Again, it's just an unfair way to play football, and it's not sustainable. So I think with the Niners being 4-1, sole possession of first place, they've shown fight, they've shown ability, they've shown they can compete and be contenders this year. I think John Lynch has to feel really good about this football team, and last night's win is a moment where you say, we got to make a trade for a pass rusher. Makes the locker room believe, it makes us better, and we're in the mix in the NFC. You know, I know the Eagles haven't played their best ball. I still think they're number 1 in the NFC. The Lions have been really good the last few weeks ever since getting drubbed week 1 against the Packers. After that, though, the Packers have looked like shit the last couple of weeks. Like, the NFC after those 2 top teams, I think is wide open, and I think you can put the Niners right there, but they need a pass rusher.
It's interesting too. Are the Niners and the Eagles gonna popularize having multiple quarterbacks you can win with? I mean, it seems like it should be pretty popular. I mean, the Eagles can win with Tanner McKee. They showed it last year. And they can win with Jalen Hurts, and the Niners can win with Brock Purdy, and now they've kind of proven that they can win with Mac Jones. What do you think? I mean, are teams going to I mean, Detroit has Kyle Allen behind Jared Goff.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Yetur Gross-Matos hamstring injury last night at defensive end. Like that's another injury at defensive end, which is why I think you need to make a trade. Yeah, like so the Eagles with Jeffrey Lurie as owner have always invested a lot in backup quarterbacks. And since 2000, they have won huge games and they have won playoff games with multiple backups. AJ Feely, Coy Detmer, Jeff Garcia, Michael Vick. They won a Super Bowl with the backup in Nick Foles. And then last year, Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee both went 2-0 at the end of the year when Jalen Hurts was concussed. And so you need quality backup quarterback play. If you don't have it, your season is literally over. See the Cincinnati Bengals. Jake Browning is their backup. He's not good enough. They're doomed. They're not going to last until December. You look at the 49ers, though, they've learned their lesson. They got scarred from seeing Josh Johnson have to play in an NFC championship game. Then he got hurt and Christian McCaffrey was throwing passes in an NFC title game, and they said, never again. Now, they invested in Joshua Dobbs last year. He was an okay backup, and Brandon Allen, who should have never started ahead of Josh Dobbs. But the Niners realized we need to be a little bit better, kind of like what they did with Sam Darnold. And they look at it as an opportunity where, okay, let's get some players with high pedigree. We can develop them, get their careers back on track. They can serve as a really high-level backup. But if our quarterback goes down, we have these guys who have starting experience who, if we develop them in our system, we can still win with them. And it's a great strategy to have as an organization. I mean, you have to have a contingency plan. You have to have a backup plan. And if you don't, there's so much invested into your football team. You can't afford to have an injury to your starting quarterback and then you just be cooked after that. And so I really like how the Niners emphasize bringing in Mac Jones. He's lived up to his contract already, going 3-0, 2-year deal, less than $9 million. And it's been a season-saving move. And hopefully they continue to operate this way as a business and organization.
If you could add one piece to the puzzle, who would you want to add?
Trey Hendrickson. That's my guy.
Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
And
Kayvon Thibodeau. Thibodeau's my backup.
Thibodeau wouldn't be bad. Do you believe that Hendrickson could be had without trading a number one pick? Because I think that number one's got to be earmarked for a tackle, does it not?
Yeah, I don't think I'd give up a number one for Hendrickson. I would probably go for another player where you don't have to give up a number one. I do think that at this point of the season, and because the Bengals have shown their cards, they don't think that Hendrickson is a part of their future because they didn't give him an extension. I think if they continue to lose, they're going to be sellers, and you can have them for maybe a second or a third. And I would give that up for Trey Hendrickson. I would.
I absolutely would as well.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, we'll go to the big finish. We're brought to you by Habbas Law. They're a great follow on the web at habbaslaw.com, HABBAS law.com. If you need someone in your corner, call them. They're the law firm, the insurance companies hope you would never call. Habbas Law. They will fight to make it right. 1-800-INJURED. Today's show is sponsored by Habbas Law. For more than 40 years, Omar Habbas and his son Tarek have been standing up for people right here in Northern California. So if you need a good lawyer, they're great lawyers. Visit habbaslaw.com. Once again, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Somebody in the chat, or actually not in the chat, on Twitter, Mike Renner from PFF asked this one. He says, I was 95% sure when the 49ers signed Mac Jones that it was for a side-by-side comparison in practice to see how much Brock Purdy was really worth. He goes on to ask, would John Lynch do the Brock Purdy deal again today, knowing what we know now?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, because are you going to invest $55 million in a quarterback who has now had all these injury issues and his backup is playing this well? I do think it changes it. Now, it's not to say I think the decision to pay Brock Purdy was a bad one. I think he earned that, and he was a great bargain for San Francisco, and I still think that he's, a borderline top 10 quarterback. But Mac's opening up a lot of eyes, and he's making things interesting.
Yeah, Jason Cole says, I don't understand why Al Michaels is trying to sell some quarterback controversy. Mac Jones has been terrific. Brock Purdy is better. It's pretty clear if you actually watch them. I mean, Brock Purdy has an element to his game that Mac Jones will never have, as far as mobility. And that's a major thing. But if you mix in turf toe, then all of a sudden he doesn't have that same mobility. So, it's very, very difficult to say who's the, how this is going to go going down the road. But I'll say this, if Mac Jones continues to play this way, this will be a controversy.
Yes.
Because what you saw last night was not something that we were expecting to see for sure. Anyway, That is going to do it for us. Chase, what do you got cooking the rest of the week? I mean, you got no Niners on a Sunday. How does that change up your weekend?
Man, I was live until about midnight last night. Then I went live early this morning. Got some, content out of that live show that we'll be pushing out over the weekend. If news breaks, I got you covered. And then a little bit of a mini buy for San Francisco, but that doesn't mean the coverage stops. So we're going to keep it moving.
There you go. Chat Sports. They do an incredible job. Thanks to Chase. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to Habbas Law. Thanks to Sleeper. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Have a great Friday, people. Niners, what a win. Amazing win last night for the Niners.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get